Hello Oracle Database World, this is Justin, and in this Oracle Database video YouTube tutorial I am going to show you how to convert databases whose space is being served by regular cooked file systems, i.e. regular DBF files that you can see via the file system command like dir in Windows or ls in Unix or Linux, to an ASM disk group managed by Oracle. Okay. So basically, we're taking a file system that's managed by cooked file systems, i.e. Traditional files, and we're making it so that ASM now manages them. Okay. Now, what is ASM? ASM stands for Oracle Automatic Storage Management. It's an Oracle feature. It was introduced in Oracle Database version 10G, and it's Oracle's version of an LVM, Logical Volume Manager. It's basically what it is. To get a more in-depth discussion and a more in-depth explanation about what ASM is, please tune to my dual video series on how to create a basic ASM instance. Okay, that's out on YouTube as well, so check that out. Alright, but in this video we're going to focus on how to take a database that currently resides in files, regular cooked file system files like an NTFS file system on Windows or a JFS2 file system in AIX, and putting them to and making them sort of managed by ASM. So let's take a look at the file system. Now, this Windows server has a plus ASM instance currently running and disk group mounted and defined. Okay, and to see us create that instance, again, review to that video I mentioned earlier, the two-part series on how to create a basic ASM instance. Okay, let's log into the database we want to convert to be ASM managed from a storage perspective. So, set Oracle SID to finance, and we already started up the finance database and opened it prior to the video. Let's ensure that we are set properly. We are. And let's log in via SQL Plus. We show user, and we select name from the $ database, and we show that we're connected to the finance database. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the files which collectively make up this database. We do is select name from the $ data file, and we see that here are all the data files which collectively make up our database, all with the DBF extension. Okay, and these are the files that make up the table spaces, and they're kept in c:/database/oradata/finance. Now let's take a look at the files which are our control files, and we see that we have 3 of them, but they're multiplexed, they're mirrored, okay, and they also are in c:/database/oradata/finance, and they're named control01.ctl, 2, and 3. Now, let's look at our online redo log files, okay, that make up Oracle database, and we have 3 groups, 1 member each. So we have redo01.log, redo02.log, and redo03.log. And they are all in the same directory, c:/database/oradata/finance. Okay, so the object of this conversion will be to make it so that this database finance is not, its storage is not managed by regular cooked file systems on the server anymore, but managed by an Oracle ASM instance. So first thing is first, what we need to do is we need to start our ASM instance. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, it's already been created. So the first thing we need to do is we need to set up Oracle SID, just like a regular instance, to the name of the ASM instance. And the name of the ASM instance is usually plus ASM, like that. Now what we need to do is we need to start the instance, the service, the Windows service. And again, just like a regular instance, we say net start Oracle service plus ASM, like so. And we let that instance, that service start. Done. Now, what we do is we log in with SQL Plus just like any other instance, and we type in startup. Again, just like any other instance. But don't kid yourself, ASM is indeed a special type of Oracle instance. It's not what we call a database instance. Okay. And we will see ASM instance started, ASM disk groups are mounted. Now we created one disk group in that other video I discussed earlier, and it's called D group 1, and it's made up of 3 files. So if we type in select name, state, and total MB from the $ASM_disk group, we will see that we have one disk group defined that we created called D group 1. It's currently mounted, which means it's ready for use, and it has a total of 900 meg. Now if we type in select path, comma, mount underscore state from $ASM disk, mount status, sorry, we will see that we have 3 disks, okay, that ASM can see. Okay. Now if we type in select name, comma, path from $ASM disk, I get it right. What we'll see here is we'll see that we have 3 disks, and each of these disks belong to D group 1. We can tell that by the ASM name that was assigned to each one. So there's D group 1 0, D group 1 1, and D group 1 2, and D group 1 2. So all 3 of these disks have ASM names. So all 3 of these disks are in the D group, and the disk group, from if you remember from up here, is 900 meg total. And the disk group is made up of these 3 files: ASM disk 1.asm, ASM disk 2.asm, and ASM disk 3.asm, which are in a directory called ASM disks under the root of C. Okay, so there's a directory called ASM disks under the root of C, and these 3 files, 1, 2, and 3, are in it. And each one of them are 300 meg in size. Can bring you a grand total of about 900 meg, almost a gig. Now, go to the directory, file system directory, where all the files that make up our finance database reside. C:/database/or/data/finance. Do a dir. You will see here that, let's take a look at the size that we're going to require for this database. So just eyeballing it real quick as a ballpark, we look at all of our sizes here. We have 2, 3, that's 5, that's 6. 7. So we're talking about like 750 meg, something like that, to hold our entire database. Okay, and we know from up here that our disk group, our target disk group that we intend to use, is 900 meg. So we should have plenty of space to accommodate this database. So what we need to do is we need to ensure that we're set to finance, and we need to log into our finance database. Select name from $sign database. And we're actually going to start the conversion now. Now, I don't have to tell you that you should really back up your database using the tried and true method. Doesn't matter what it is: cold backup, hot backup, whatever you've had success recovering in the past, before you try this, just in case. But before we do that, I want to create some data just to prove that we migrated successfully. So I'm going to create a table, a regular standard heap table called friends. I'm going to put the name of some friends in there, okay? And it's going to have one column called name and one character type called var. I'm going to do insert some data, some rows into this table. So insert into friends, values, we'll do Minka, we'll do Rich, and we'll do Mark. Commit, select asterisk from friends. And here's our table friends, and our one column name, and our 3 rows, Minka, Rich, and Mark. So, and we're committed. So go ahead and let's do a shutdown immediate of our database. Okay, closed, dismounted, Oracle shutdown. Okay, so now we're going to go to our Oracle home, which is the location where our Oracle database software is installed. Okay, and on this server it happens to be C:/oracle/app/product/1110/db_1. And there's a subdirectory under the Oracle home called database. On Unix and Linux systems, it's DBS. And these are the files that contain configuration and directory that contains configuration files for all the instances on this box. But I've actually forgot to do something earlier. We need to create, if you use an SP file, which you should be, you should create a P file at this point from that SP file. And you do that with a following command. Create P file from SP file, like so. And that creates the file initfinance.aura. Okay? So, go ahead and let's edit that file. Because we want to be able to edit it with a command, with a editor. Okay, what I need you to do is, you'll notice that the control file, we're in the finance P file. You'll notice that the control files parameter is currently set to all three control files, 1, 2, 3. Okay, because these are multiplex control files. What I need you to do is get rid of all that. Okay, this is the only parameter you're changing at this point in the P file. Okay, so we're gonna remove all that to the end of the line, and in its place we're gonna type in the following: plus sign. Now, just like plus ASM, plus means that the name to follow, immediately follow, is a disk group name. And we're going to say D group 1, like so. So we say plus D group 1. Okay, and we type in init finance aura. And there we have it. D plus control files plus D group 1. Okay? Now, I'll show you why in a second. Now, with our database shut down, the next thing is to connect. Make sure that you are, I always ensure this is important. Make sure Oracle SID is set to finance, and let's awaken our old friend RMAN without a recovery catalog, and do a startup no mount. Well, first, I forgot to do this. We need to turn that P file back into an SP file. So let's say create SP file from P file. This is only if you're using an SP file, which you should be. Okay, done. Now, so our changes are now in the SP file that we just made. Now let's connect RMAN to target / and let's do a startup no mount. Okay, because we don't have a control file anymore. Note, the control files are still physically there in c:/database/or/data/finance directory. We're just not referring to them anymore. We're referring to something called plus D group 1, and that will make sense at the end, I promise. Okay. Let's go ahead now, after we did startup no mount, and you're going to type in the following: restore control file from c:/database/or/data/finance/control01.ctf CTL, and you only need one. I know we multiplexed we have 3 copies of it because we mirrored multiplex the control files, but you only need to mention to define one when you do this restore control file. So we're saying restore a control file from c:/database/or/data/finance/control01.ctl. Okay. And what it's doing is it took the control file, okay, our valid control file, and it took the data and it restored it into the disk group. So that's what it just did. See, plus D group 1. So our control file has effectively now been converted. So now what we do is we type in alter database mount. So now, because we restored the control file's contents from the cooked file system file, the regular NTFS file, to the disk group in our ASM instance, D group 1, now the P file, or the SP file now, that tells this finance instance that the control file is in plus D group 1 is not lying. Okay, it's telling the truth. So now Oracle, when we try to mount it now, Oracle will succeed because it's in that disk group that the P file tells it to look in. Okay, database mounted, so we're good. We mounted off the ASM control file. Now, type in the following: backup as copy, database, format, space, single quote, plus the name of the disk group, D group 1. So backup as copy, database, format, plus D group 1. Okay, and what this is doing is it's opening all the data files and copying what's in there to to D group 1. Now, you could also do a backup as copy database format and point to a file name, and that will be, so what backup as copy is, and there's a separate video just on that without ASM, is just a way to copy your files byte by byte to another location. It's kind of like shutting down your database and doing like a copy file name. Okay, that's basically what this is doing. But it's doing two operations in one. It's doing a read and a write. It's reading from the data files and it's writing it to the in the cooked file system, and it's writing it to the ASM instance. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Well, you see that we got the message, disk group space exhausted. I guess there's some overhead that I didn't account for, or I probably was off in the math, which is why I'm not a mathematician. So I paused the video and I created 3 more disks. And if we take a look at that, we will see here we have 3 more disks now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in to our ASM instance. It's a good exercise. I'm actually glad it happened. I'm going to log into it, and we're going to add that space. Select total MB from the $ASM disk. Disk group 900 meg. So if we were to say alter disk group D group 1 add disk C:/ASM disks slash disk ASM disk 04.asm. Oops. I do have a video out there showing you how to add disk itself, where I just discussed this command. So alter disk group D group 1 add disk ASM disks disk 4.asm, and they're 300 meg each as well. Disk 5.asm, disk group altered, which is good. And the 6.asm. So we get them added to our disk group here. And now when we do select total MB, we see that we're at almost 2 gig, 1 gig 800 meg of space in our disk group. Should be more than enough. Well, I said that before, so we'll see. So just go ahead and let's issue this command again. Backup is copy database format D plus D group 1. And again, what it's doing is it's opening the data files, reading them, and it's simultaneously writing the same data files the data that it read to the D group ASM group, disk group. Skipping that file, that's fine. Okay, picking up where it left off. As you can see, it failed on undo, so that's what we're picking up. Okay, this will take typically a little longer than regular RMAN backups because it's doing more work. It's doing something simultaneously, so Oracle really needs to keep track of what it's doing. This would probably be quicker on a more beefier server with more resources, more memory, more CPUs, faster CPUs, but it's just a regular laptop. And I'll pause the video while this copy occurs. Okay, so the copy of all the data files has ended, which means that Oracle has opened every data file, read what's in it, and copied it and transferred it into, or migrated it to ASM. So the next thing to do is to update the control file to say where they are now, and that can be done from RMAN with the following command: switch database to copy. Okay, so the database is now, we're telling the control file to look at these files now instead of the other database files that are out there. Okay, so this is a new database we're saying. Okay, that this file name, that instead of the system 01 file, look at this file in D group 1. Okay, instead of this file, look in this file in D group 1. Instead of this, look in this. 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 Okay. As you can probably guess, this is also a good way to move your database files from one location to another. You can just do a backup copy and switch them. Okay. And now you do alter database open. And it's not a recovery or anything, so you didn't need to do alter database open reset logs or anything. Database open. Excellent, huh? Now we go back into our ensure which I hope we're set there. Make sure Oracle SID is set to finance, which it is. Connect via SQL Plus program. Select. So we're connected to our finance database. Select name from $$ database finance. Select name from the $sign data file. And you see something interesting. Now you don't see the files, the names that you saw before. Now what you see is plus D group 1 and then these file names under D group 1. Now there's some other videos where I talk about more advanced ASM stuff, like walking through the ASM has its own little virtual file system, which we'll talk about. Okay, and so see my other ASM videos where I talk about the structure in more detail. Okay, and if we do a select name from the $control file, we will see our one.